Ciao everyone! Today's video is about olive oil defects. See, I said olive oil, not extra virgin olive oil, because one of the requisites of extra virgin olive oil is to have total absence of defects. Defects are not all the same. Some are more problematic than others. However, if somebody tells you this is an extra virgin olive oil and you find some defects in that oil, that means it's not an extra virgin olive oil. In fact, a virgin olive oil is an oil that usually has some type of defects. Welcome to my channel. My name is Anastasia and I created this space to share with you my passion for extra virgin olive oil, for food, wellness and more. There are many olive oil defects. We're going through the main 6 and that are also the easiest to detect. We can put those defects in 3 categories. The defects related to production, the defects related to storage, the defects related to fermentation. In some cases, you're able to detect these type of defects just by smelling the oil. It might really get you sick in your stomach, an oil that it's gone bad or that has many defects or is very old. Just use your judgment that comes from your smell at that point. The first most common defect is rancidity. When a fruit or a natural oil gets in touch with oxygen for too long, it gets rancid. You're probably already familiar with rancidity. It's that taste of stale nuts. The second most common defect in olive oil is musty. It's a defect related to fermentation. Mustiness might have developed if, let's say, the olives were muddy, were wet, and they sit somewhere for a while, if they were pressed when they were not completely washed and well washed. So musty is a defect related to fermentation that it's actually very much preventable in the production phase. The third most common defect is fasty or moldy. This is a flavor of olives that have been sitting somewhere for too long and have developed an anaerobic fermentation. You'll recognize a moldy smell. It's like typical of maybe a cantina or some basement. The fourth most common olive oil defect is vinery or vinegary, and it's related to the fermentation. Not surprisingly, wine is obtained by the fermentation of the grapes. Vinegar is a derivative of wine. Olive oil has nothing to do with fermented food. So, as you might guess, if your oil that you're tasting has this type of defects, you might be reminded of wine or vinegar. This usually happens if the olives have been picked and they've been sitting somewhere for over 24 hours, maybe days, before being pressed. Or maybe the olives haven't been picked up at all, and they've been just falling off naturally from the tree when they were ripe. So this fermentation of the olives will be then carried away along all the production chain. The fifth defect is heated. Heated is another defect that happens during the production phase, usually at the mill during the pressing of the olives. If during the pressing, because of environmental factors, because of the machine settings, there's too much heat developing, if the paste of the olives gets too hot, specifically when the paste gets mixed, you will have this type of defect. And this is also why on many extra virgin olive oil labels you find the cold pressed in the label. By the way, if you want to learn more about what cold pressed really means, feel free to check this video up here that I made specifically on cold press process. The sixth and last olive oil defect we're going to talk about today is grubby or the fly. This is another issue that sometimes develops during the production phase. There's some flies called Bactroceraole that really love to go inside, attack the olives and leave their little babies in it, the larvae. Sometimes this happens when there's a lot of humidity in the environment, when there's the worm, when there's the fly in the olives that has a specific taste. That specific taste defect that a trained palate is able to detect. Basically, all the defects related to production, to fermentation, and to storage can be avoidable. And in fact, the most amazing extra virgin olive oil producers and artisanal producers know how to avoid them. In the case of extra virgin olive oil production, a defect-free oil, it's a must. Let's say a producer is participating in a extra virgin olive oil competition, even if that oil is found with just one defect, that oil would be disqualified. However, the defect of oxidation cannot be avoidable all the time, also in the case of an extra virgin olive oil. What do I mean by this statement? If we buy an expensive, rightfully so, extra virgin olive oil and we save it for special occasions. It needs to be used fast. After 6 months of opening our container, the oil inevitably will start developing rancidity. Now, to wrap this up, I'm just curious, did you experience any type of defects in the oils you use? Have you ever found weird smells, weird odors? I'm sure that in terms of oxidation and in rancidity, those are like type of defects that are pretty easily detectable. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you like this video, consider to watch this one next. Ciao!